What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fire for Effect Live. It is, the fuck is it? 27 April. It's been a while since I've been on. I have nobody watching right now, which is good. So I can sort out all my fuck ups as we go here. A lot of shit going on the planet, a lot to talk about tonight. I have a guest with us tonight, Christy. She's going to get into podcasting, and I'll bring her into frame later on. Yeah, shit's going on in the Ukraine. Putin's crazy. Putin, whatever the fuck you call him. We got Canada's contribution militarily to the Ukraine. What's happening on the Eastern Front? We got Bryce's horror story. Bryce is over at Ryan Perry's right now. We're going to bring him in later on and talk about what he's got going on. He's got boots on the ground experience in the Ukraine, so we'll get him in too. And we'll just get everybody caught up on what the hell's been going on in the world for the last couple of weeks. And I'm heading off to the UK tomorrow, and we'll talk about what's going on over there and what I expect when I'm over there. And we'll have a good time. So before we get going, Fire for Effect and Fire for Effect Live brought to you by DeanBlundell.com. Go to the Dean Blundell Network. Check it out. Lots of cool shit there. DeanBlundell.com, Canada's largest digital source of sports news and podcasts. My podcast's on there with about, I want to say 70, 80 more. All good stuff. Check it out, DeanBlundell.com. Also, which I'll plug later, I have merch available at DeanBlundell.com, but I'll save that for the end when I actually have people watching this fucking podcast. Right now, since nobody's on, we're in good shape. Fire for Effect Live is also brought to you by Positive Mike's Brewing Company. Positive Mike's Brewing, you can get the gear, but you can't get the beer. Check him out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Mike makes amazing beer. I know he's still trying to bring his product to market. It's good shit, and I quite enjoy it. Brought to you by Mr. Hooper Inc. Mr. Hooper Inc. will provide you with information on alternative sources to conventional medicine. Anything you want to know about weed, cannabis culture, Mr. Hooper Inc. has got it. Bryce, he's one of my one of the Olive Drab hooligans. He'll be on later, and you can reach out to him and get whatever information that you need about using cannabis to better improve your life. Last but not least, my good friends at Lakeside Farmstead. Mr. Jeff None owns Lakeside Farmstead. Him and his family owned and operated in the Edmonton area. If you're looking for Northern Alberta, Central Alberta, whatever you call its only source of Wagyu cross beef, go see Jeff None. Look him up. You can buy his products across Alberta. It's slowly spreading out. I know there's several retailers in the Edmonton region that sell it. They also sell some amazing dairy products. There's some wicked cheeses. So check that out as well. So, yeah, let's fucking, without further ado, bring the boys in. Ladies and gentlemen, hang on, I fucked that intro up. Nope, don't like that one either. Mr. Morgan Warren, ever growing his hair.
Yeah, that shit right there, hey boys.
And there he is. Where the fuck are you guys? Bryce Hooper.
And yeah, we're in work shed. We're in my shop.
The work shed. We also got Ryan Perry. Ryan Perry makes Ryan, what do you make? Cool soapstone stuff.
Yeah, I do soapstone carving since I'm a flat-faced civvy now.
Ryan is an ex-member of the Canadian Armed Forces. He used to be a tanker. Were you Strathcona or RCD?
No, I was HCH and then RCD.
HCH, then RCD. Ooh. I'm surprised we're letting you on this fucking show, man.
Wow. What do you mean? RCHA gunner. You lasted as long as we did.
3, 1, and 20. Yeah, man. Good times. Well, welcome to the show. We had some audio issues. Let's see who's on right now.
We got a couple.
Kel's on. Danielle's on. Kel's also on again. Right on. We got 2 viewers. Fuck, we're doing great. Let's start some shit off with Bryce's fucked up issue with the city of Edmonton.
Oh, man. Yeah, to say the least.
What's going on with that, man?
So I got a notice from the city of Edmonton. And they said they were going to do some neighborhood restorations, as they were trying to put forth. The front street of Sterling Road, as well as the entire back lane, is going to be ripped open now. I actually sent a couple hostile emails and left a couple of voicemails. Ended up getting a hold of the superintendent for the project from Park Paving. Anyways, he called me back today. They're actually doing the back lane first, and so we're going to have place to park now, thankfully. I highly doubt that it had anything to do with my phone calls or emails or any of that kind of jazz, but he assured me that they wouldn't let that kind of stupidity happen. But I wouldn't take it from the city of Edmonton, that's for sure.
At some point, you weren't allowed to park in front of your house, or use your garage,
or use exactly, and it was going to be like that for a month.
And where did they expect you to put your fucking cars?
They had said there was going to be designated areas down the block, which didn't make any fucking sense either.
Wow. But so it's solved.
Yeah, thankfully.
Now,
so we just have to deal with the back lane access. So I have to park my bike on the grass now, I think, for a month.
Fuck, man, right? For everybody watching this or listening tomorrow, this is some engaging fucking content, right? Like this is the bang to get your attention right out of the gate.
Yeah, first world problems.
Is that Bryce can't park his fucking car.
I think whoever's in charge of both these organizations are definitely like ex Canadian Armed Forces members, because the right hand's not talking to the left and nothing makes sense. So
absolutely,
it's like standard fare for me. I'm like, all right, cool.
You'd be surprised at how many ex-military guys, usually like fucking officers that worked in area headquarters, are like responsible for emergency services, city planning, and all this shit. I'm like, fucking really?
Which would explain why things are so fucked up.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the best person.
Here's why. All these fucking officers went and got these jammy gigs when they retired.
Yep.
And then forgot that it was their fucking senior NCOs that actually kept them fucking right dressed, and then like didn't bring them with them. And I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm telling you right now, this is fucking fact. I've seen all these fucking whistleheads, and I'm not shitting on officers. Actually, that's exactly what I'm doing.
I'm not shitting on officers. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Great people, we need them. They get these great jobs, and then they kind of forget where they came from, and suddenly they're fucking put in charge of like serious projects, civilian projects, and they don't have any NCOs around anymore. So they have the civvy equivalent, but they won't listen to the guy, and they fuck it all up. You know what I mean?
If one of these stupid flat-faced civvies know, man, I did like 25 years in the army. Clowns, right? Like one's got something to do with the other.
That's the best line I've heard today. Outstanding.
Morgan, give us an update on where you're at.
Oh, I'll give you. Oh, like on my situation?
Yeah, man.
Actually, funny enough, if you had asked, if we had done this yesterday, I would have been like, well, there's a situation, no change. I got a call today from my sergeant major. He's like, so your file's been opened at DMCA. I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean? He's like, the only correspondence we got back so far is what language do you want this to proceed in, English or French? I was like, I don't know, man. Fucking, what do you think? Right? I was like, well, let's go with English for now. And that's it. So my file is opened, but that really doesn't mean anything, because now, I mean, DMCA, so it's like I was a director of military careers. I don't know. Anyway, something to do with personnel. They will open my file, review my file, do an administrative review. But in order to before they can release me, they got a lot of checks and balances, and they got to do a deep dive on my file, which means first and foremost they've got to go talk to DMed Pol, which are the medical side of the house, and to see if to confirm that I don't have any medical issues physically or mentally before I can be released. Because if it turns out I've got bad physical or bad mental issues, I don't know, say like a fucking PTSD diagnosis.
Yeah, you got no mental issues, bro. You're good.
None at all.
You're broadcasting from your shitter.
Exactly, right? So then chances are that DMed Pol is just going to send him a message back and say, yeah, this guy's got a few issues, so just take his file and just put it to the side for now, and we'll get back to you. So it's probably going to delay everything, between, my back, my shoulder, my hips, my knees, my head.
So
And I guess two times on my head because obviously, I mean, PTSD is one thing, but actually, you'll enjoy this, Bryce. They actually sent me to see a occupational therapist because about 3 or 4 years ago, I was talking to some other sniper friends of mine, in the both nationally and internationally, and I guess a big thing in the sniper community right now is TBIs, and they've got there's a different name for it, like concussive blast
from TAC 50.
Yeah, because when you shoot a 50, it's like 15,000 foot-pounds of energy into your shoulder. So it's not
like tell everybody that's watching this in civvy language because you're speaking like an army guy.
Yeah.
Like when you fire a 50 caliber fucking sniper rifle, you can detach your retina.
Well, allegedly, I've never really seen anything substantiate that because people are talking about when you're firing with the muzzle brake as opposed to the suppressor. It's kind of like when you shoot an 84, you get that sensation.
Yeah.
But with the 50, you've actually got 15,000 foot-pounds of energy. So when you pull the trigger, all that energy is going into your shoulder. And of course, like your brain sits in a sack of fluid inside your skull. Well, every time I pull the trigger, my brain would essentially hit the front inside of my skull. So you're getting like a micro.
All right, so that makes sense to me. So we'll leave the retina myth aside because I just heard that you're allowed to fire X amount of rounds out of a fucking 50 cal sniper rifle before your retina could come out of your eyeball. But that makes more sense because, like, I fired an 84. I've obviously never fired a fucking 50 cal sniper rifle. Yeah, and it's like getting the analogy we used to use. It was like walking into a pitch black room and buddy nails you in the face with a fucking heavy pillow.
Yeah. So I mean, they did it. The occupational therapist did like a battery of tests on me, and I mean, she did one test, and then she reviewed the scores. And she's like, on this test, you scored 70. I'm like, that's a solid B. I can live with that. She's like, it's actually more like a golf score. We don't like to see above a 30. She's like, I've never personally seen above a 50, and you scored a 70. I'm like, okay, well, that's not so good. And a bunch of weirdo things like I had to connect the dots, and she's like, that took 55 seconds. I'm like, that seems reasonable. And then she's like, I don't want to see about
long-term disability, hopefully. Then
your fucking official release date is like no end in sight right now.
No, there's no end in sight. They don't know what they're doing with me. So I guess long story short, what the occupational therapist said afterwards, she's like, you have the symptoms of somebody with an acute concussion. She said, so you've probably been walking around with an acute concussion for a decade.
No kidding, hey?
Yeah. And they've cross-referenced with like some other units, both, in the Army and like CANSOFCOM and shit like that. And I know down in the U.S. Marine Corps and down south of the border, they're seeing these results show up in like 80% of snipers.
Oh, yeah, because the percussion that you guys have to deal with on a regular, hey? Holy shit.
And then, I guess the other group of people that they see it with as well are, breachers in the engineers.
That's the
shockwave injury.
That's what I'm not going to name. I'm a very close friend of mine who you guys both know was, used to be the master breacher in CSOR and ran the breacher program for JTF2. And he's a little bit fucking touched.
Yeah.
And not by an angel or a pedophile. So, I get that. So you got to go through for everybody that's watching this, what Morgan's saying in Army language, because he's still in and still fighting. Still has a bayonet in his mouth.
I do.
Is that he's being released because he refused vaccination, which is fine. We've covered that before. And now
I'm fine with it.
The Army is the military, not the Army, is dog paddling through the actual process of releasing somebody that's gone through all the shit Morgan's has been through with the time in that he's got, right? It's not just like, okay, well, you didn't want to get vaccinated, fuck you, you're out tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. There's, you got a combat veteran here that has to go through a barrage of fucking process, or it's a fucking lawsuit if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, liability
before he can be released. You can't just kick the guy fucking down range.
Yeah, actually, Chris, Danielle made an interesting comment, a question, I guess. She asked, is it treatable or
I'm like a fucking rookie
injury that the football players get from after playing football? Funny enough, so some of the doctors south of the border are dealing with the Marine Corps and and the U.S. Army. I guess some of the doctors that are involved in this study are some of the same doctors that were actually involved with the concussion study in the NFL. And remember, there was a movie years ago with Will Smith, and he played some doctor or something like that. And anyway, they talked about concussions in the NFL and guys who had essentially gone crazy and kind of killed themselves.
And that's why Will Smith's running around slapping fucking people.
Exactly right. Like a bout.
He's touched for sure, but I bet you it's by a pedophile though.
I bet you if you look into it. No, great. Actually, yeah, it's the same type of thing. Right? Sure. Fuck. Wow. So that's so no end in sight. You're still getting paid, growing your hair long.
I lost my land duty allowance, my field pay, which was like, I don't know, I was like at like $600 or $700 a month or something. So I took a bit of a pay cut, but yeah, I've lost that. But yeah, essentially, I'm still getting paid. So.
Good enough. Are you looking at, is the unit going to send you to JPSU till this is done? JPSU is this fucking holding cloud for people being released from the military.
As of right now, no.
Whatever it's called, transition center.
Yeah, the transition center.
Yeah, JPSU stands for Joint Personnel Support Unit.
Yeah.
So when you're at JPSU, if you want to, like, it'll help you transition out of the Army, look into, schooling, trades, anything you need essentially to transition out. So you've got that flexibility.
It's a good thing. It's a good organization. It's been shit on before, but I can promise you, when I joined the Army, it didn't exist. Okay, it's a good organization. Cal had a question. What's land pay? So land pay is, we used to get something called field operations allowance. You guys remember that shit?
$12.85 a day.
Whatever the fuck it was. So Cal, to answer the question, when you went to the field and did Army shit and war campaign and ate rations, you were given an allowance, an extra $12 a day, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And then what they did was aligned it with other elements, like
kind of like the Navy ships pay.
Yeah, and the Air Force, right? And they made it a monthly allowance. So they said, "Fuck it, we're not just gonna." And it made sense instead of doing all this bullshit math. So if you were in a operational field Army unit, you were given an allowance of, what is it, like $600 or something?
It's actually based on a point system. So I think it starts out at about $290 a month. But as you accrue, more time in a field unit, you get more points. And I think it tops out at like just under $800 a month.
Do you have a little points card you swipe in every time you go to the field? Fucking beat.
No, but your company clerks are actually supposed to look after that, because as your points increase, your levels of field pay increase. So they have to track that for you.
Okay, so that's what LDA, land duty allowance is. There's a fucking, the Army got fucked because they always do, and forever. Well, like the Navy had this forever. Air Force had air crew allowance forever. And the Army had fucking bullshit FOA. I remember let me put your fucking wash basins on your head and strap a bungee cord on. Falling in for pay parade in the fucking early 90s, late 80s, and literally being paid cash. So there was two guys at this table. The first guy is the pay clerk. He hands out your fucking field pay in cash.
Yeah.
And then you do 2 paces left, close march, and there's the canteen guy from all the smokes and shit you bought, and you hand back all your fucking field pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I shit you not, man. And
100% true.
Fucking Ryan knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I've owed money to the sergeant.
There you go. I marched up, fucking came to attention, showed him my I card. You had to show him your I card.
Yeah.
Fucking sign for your whatever, your field pay. 2 paces left, close march. There's the BSM's fucking canteen NCO. Yeah, you owe this. And a lot of times it was actually more than your fucking field pay. So you came out with fuck all. Okay, old guy war story is done.
That was a good one, though. I like how you actually... You're talking about how old you are, and you actually started it by using the term wash basin, which most guys don't understand anymore, because those things don't exist.
No, they probably fucking wouldn't, man.
What?
And you go and you get your nice fucking like diesel infused water from the immersion heater, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that normal?
Well,
Right?
yeah,
And
that's
I wonder why
true.
we're all fucked up, right? Like
What?
Listen,
washing our
man,
faces with diesel.
I can't wrap my
fucking
head
used
around
to-
the no wash basin thing anymore. What's
I remember
happened
being a
there? I've
young
only been
guy,
out 2
right?
years.
Fuck, you remember this? Being a young guy, and you're that 3 to 5 asshole, and you got to
Yeah.
go around and light these fucking immersion heaters.
Well, I was only about 25% accurate with lighting immersion heaters.
That's 100% fucking success, man.
Yeah, exactly. That is.
Do you know how many stovepipes I've sent across a harbor or a hide in my career?
Okay, Ryan, you're up. You need to explain to all the people watching what an immersion heater is.
Yeah.
So
do
it is literally a 40-gallon stainless steel garbage can.
Garbage can, yep.
And you buy it at Canadian Tire or wherever. Take the lid off and throw that away. You won't use it, or you don't need it. And then you put a gasoline-fired drip heater in it. And then you take 17 and 18-year-old kids with a book of matches, kind of roughly explain how to light it without killing yourself, and then wait for the chaos.
And but truth be told, nobody really knows how to like
fucking
light
air
these things very
fryer.
well. Like nobody.
Exactly. No, they were never safe. I actually lost my eyebrows and fucking eyelashes once.
Fuck no. You know what we used to do? So what we used to do, if you put a fucking old shitty army helmet on top of the stack and lit this bitch up, you'd send that fucking thing 40 feet in the air, man.
Or, like the last guy on fire. It was like the last guy on fire picket had to light the immersion heater. And if you knew the last guy on fire picket was an asshole, if you were the second last guy on fire picket or the third last guy, you'd fucking turn the fucking immersion heater on, but you wouldn't light it. So when the son of a bitch went to light it, it was full of gas. Woo, there it goes,
yeah.
right?
Listen. I
was the 2 to 4
right now. I can promise you guys right now, I am not the most educated man on the fucking planet. By
Bullshit.
any stretch.
Bullshit. You're the smartest man I know.
Exactly. I remember being 17 years old. It's 1988. I'm lighting immersion heaters. I'd never seen one of these fucking things. And this other dude is showing me how to do it. And I'm looking at this thing going, this has got to be the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen, ever made, ever.
And that was in 1989.
I know. I'm like, are you fucking telling me there's not a better way to heat water than this?
What? Do
Like,
immersion
it
heaters
is the most-
exist in the city
So
world?
we don't use them anymore. Hey, Chris, because obviously
Fuck
my last
no.
job I was
They're not
CQ.
environmentally fucking cool at all, man.
No,
You can see that purple orange fucking haze in the water
Yeah.
that we're shaving with.
But
look like a fucking oil spill in the trash can. Yeah.
100%, yeah. And then you don't have to everything sticks to your wash basin. You're done cleaning with it. You take it out of your sleeping bag valise. At the end of the day, it's still full of dust because there's so
That's
much
right.
grease.
Just like
and
a
oil
bush
in it.
party in high school. I cannot believe I had no intent of this fucking podcast tonight to devolve to talking about fucking
So Chris,
immersion heaters.
so back to the immersion heaters here. Wait 1 second. So
Why would
obviously
we
my
keep
last
going
gig,
about
I
it?
was the company quartermaster. I was a CQ. So we don't use the immersion heaters anymore because I guess somebody came to their senses and realized like this is probably not healthy. So now they've got essentially like a giant like a propane stove. So you've got your propane cylinder, and you just put a giant pot on it and you heat it up that way. So it makes a little bit more sense. But when I set up like an ablutions tent, like 4 sections of mod, and I put 6-foot tables in there, and in the back of my CQ, what did I find? I found like a pallet full of wash basins, brand new. You know when they're still shiny and they're still like wrapped in paper and shit? Yeah, man. I brought these fuckers to the field. I set up my ablutions tent, and I've got they refer to these propane burners as turkey cookers. So I set up my turkey cooker with my water, everything on it. And like, that's when I realized, I was like, I can't be in this man's army anymore. Young troops are looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's the ablutions tent. They're like, what for? I was like, to wash yourself, you fucking dirty Billy. Like, what else are you going to do? They were looking at these wash basins like, what? Like, What's this? No idea.
They thought it was
No
a
idea.
fucking salad bowl, man.
Yeah.
You, come on.
All right.
It hasn't slipped that far. Come on.
Listen, are we fucking done with fucking immersion heaters and wash
I,
basins?
I guess so. I just
Because
We'll
We're-
never
we're
totally be
losing-
done with immersion
listen,
heaters, but I know what you
We're
mean. Let's
losing
carry
fucking
on.
viewers by the second here. I appreciate the conversation, however.
No, to the bush parties in high school, though. Man, could you imagine having
Yeah.
the immersion heaters with
I want to
that?
go to I
So
want to go to one of
cool.
Danielle's bush party things there, man. That sounds like a fucking riot if they had immersion heaters.
Someone would have fucking.
Let's move on. So I don't read a lot of news, obviously, and I only get my fucking news sources from 95.7 Cruise FM, Grant Johnson. And apparently there's this big, this fucking rally in Ottawa called Rolling Thunder. And it is headed up by, now here's where you can help me out, because it feels like this guy was a fucking RCD. This dude.
Seen this guy? Last name Neil.
Neil
I've seen-
Sheridan.
I don't know him from the regiment. I don't even know.
I'm not saying he's a fucking tanker.
I
I like his sweater.
I thought he had a black beret on another picture, and I'm not being facetious, Ryan.
I have no idea. I've never. I don't.
Anyways, so
That's-
clearly he's got 3 tours to Afghanistan,
Yeah, that's some serious tickers.
right?
Man.
And he's got a
Sacrifice, you know.
sacrifice medal, so he got wounded, he got fucked up. He's got one of those bullshit UN NATO patches, and he's probably got 28,000. I wouldn't want his sewing bill, I'm sure. And he's like the fucking. Now, I was just on Dean Blundell's podcast earlier, and this is not a military thing, but this guy's kind of like the face of it, okay?
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah, so that creates some drama. And the point of this whole fucking thing, I'll get to your guys' comments. Just give me
It
a
does,
second.
it does pair nice with the turtleneck, though. Hey, that sweater
Yeah.
makes him pretty.
Agreed. It's
Yeah.
a very nice combo.
You paired it with a purple sweater to a turtle to the purple turtleneck.
Well, I'm not going to shit on the guy. I mean,
Are you kidding me?
I
right now?
spoke to
No, I'm going after the comments.
You
yeah,
have
this
one
is-
of those.
I
Yeah, I do.
fucking
It's a nice
knew this was coming.
It's got
man.
nice pockets.
Don't make fun of people.
It's like my grandpa had the same one, man.
Yes.
He'd sit on his knee and he'd give you Werther's, and you feel kind of no, he was a good guy.
Or are we talking about Uncle Bad Touch now?
You want to sit on that fucking guy's knee?
Oh yeah, he smells like cigarette and hate already. You can tell. You can tell. He sits up in the morning with his black coffee and he smokes back 5 or 6 darts right off the bat. Just,
Isn't Rolling Thunder the name of that Australian male stripper fucking show?
It's that group exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, he probably has a parody with his ball sack and he rocks around with a skateboard or something like that.
Anyway, I don't have all the cool shit Dean had, but there's this video of this fucking guy standing up. He's doing an interview, okay? He's got the Canadian flag upside down. He's talking about, this stems from the fucking, the Canadian War Memorial getting desecrated by those fuckheads in the last one, right?
Right.
So the whole point of this Rolling Thunder thing, you can Google it. I'm not going to get into it too much. Is these guys are coming in to talk about fucking who knows what, defending this war memorial, and our freedoms are still being trampled on. It's supposed to be a peaceful thing. They got their own website, doesn't tell you much. And this guy's like the head guy, and it's all these fat old cunts fucking rolling in on their bikes. I'm like I'm in a fucking military motorcycle club, you know. Whatever. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I never heard of this rally. And this guy, you know,
Right, with the UN NATO vets.
fucking, they're not even a club. You can order that patch online. You
Yeah, you pay $65.
No, that's how they get it. That's how they get it.
Yeah.
The point is, he's standing there with a fucking inverted flag. I wish I grabbed the video. I didn't have time.
That's fucked up.
He's just saying a bunch of fucking shit, and he's wearing his medals, and he's wearing his veteran crap. He's misrepresenting what the lowest. Struggling with words here. He's misrepresenting what the fucking mean average of the military is. And based on his fucking junk on his chest, he's obviously less than a 12-year guy, probably 8-10-year guy, 3 tours, probably between 07 and 12, somewhere in there. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Got smoked in action. I don't know what trade he was. I know nothing about the fucking guy. And now he's up there flag waving, and I feel like that's misrepresenting us. Like if any one of us saw a military guy with an upside down Canadian flag, I know what I would do. I can't speak for you guys, but let's just say
what I would do.
A fucking good dental program.
It seems that guy is in distress, and that flag needs to be removed from his possession. Is what needs to happen.
Okay, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. You know what?
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We live in a free country, right? And that means fucking stupid people are allowed to do fucking stupid fucking things, right? Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, as far as I'm concerned, that's his God-given right. You can agree with him or disagree with him, right? But I wouldn't lay a hand on him. If I disagreed with him, I'd walk up to him and I'd be like explain to me what it is you're doing here and what you're trying to prove. And maybe he's going to say something that's going to change my mind. I don't know. Or maybe I'm going to be like, oh, that sounds a little bit fucked up. Have you ever considered X, Y, and Z? And maybe I change his mind. But at the end of the day,
you know what?
As long as he's not hurting anybody, if
I
that's
agree
what he
with
believes,
you.
and
I agree with
it's not hateful. He's not hurting anybody. I say more power to him.
I agree with you, except for one part.
What's that?
Turning that flag upside down is fucking not acceptable. Because if you want to fucking go down to Ottawa and you want to protest and you want to fucking speak your mind based on all the rights and freedoms that you're talking about, that flag earned those rights that by being pointed fucking right side up by my grandfather, great grandfather, et cetera, doing that. So fuck that guy. You can't come out, I'm not
going to disagree with you.
Fight for your rights and turn the flag upside down, which to me is admitting defeat or shitting on your country. You can't have it both ways, man. Fuck that shit. I agree with everything he wants to go say. His right to do that. Yeah. But to stand as the man in front of all the media as the representative of this event with an upside down fucking flag and talk shit is like, fuck you, dude. That is not fucking cool, man. I will never, ever, ever, considering the history of the sacrifices made by people of our generations and the ones that came before it, we're flying that motherfucker upright every day in the heat of battle, not because, I don't have the right to fucking, I don't want to wear a mask or I don't want to fucking do this or I don't want to do that. Where people were fucking dying in trench warfare for years and years and years with that flag upright. Those guys can go fuck off, man.
But okay, Chris, once again, like devil's advocate, I don't disagree with what you're saying. But like me, you, Bryce, like fucking Ryan, we've all chewed the same dirt. And then, like our fathers, our grandfathers, we all got the same story. We're all kind of cut from the same cloth, right? Now, me personally, I believe that, living in a free country, sometimes our greatest strength is also our Achilles heel. So I believe the fact that man can stand on Parliament Hill and fly an upside down fucking flag, whether I agree or disagree with him, I was like, that is exactly why our country is better than a country like, say, fucking China. Because in China, he'd be fucking shot and pissed on, right? Because that is freedom, and freedom is not about security or it's not about fucking agreeing with everybody. Freedom is just that. It's the freedom to do what it is you fucking want as long as you're not harming somebody else.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
People fought and died for his freedom. He might be an idiot, but at the end of the day, we live in a free country, and I believe that he has the right to do that, whether I agree or disagree with him.
That flag represents all the freedoms you're talking about. Yeah. So when he shits on that flag and turns it upside down, he's literally shitting on, in my opinion, everything that got him to where he is to be able to even stand up there and say that. That's my point.
So here's an interesting way to look at it too, Chris. So during like all the Black Lives Matter, remember when like the NFL players and people were taking a knee during the American national anthem, right? Because they're saying, the United States is a systemically racist country, right? Now, if you look at somebody like, say, Martin Luther King, right? So Martin Luther King, I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the things that he actually said when, people were shitting on the United States of America, saying it's a bad place for the following reasons. One of the things that Martin Luther King actually said during the 60s, he's like, no, he goes, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States, he goes, it's an amazing document. He goes, however, people, men, human beings have kind of fucked it up. And we, as human beings, are not living up to the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States of America, because, all men are created equal. It doesn't say all white men are created equal. It said all men are created equal. So as a society, we need to kind of live up to, what our forefathers, fought and died for. So, like,
okay. You know what? I'll meet you in the
Go
middle. If that's done, cunt, would it turned up? Okay, let's look at what he's wearing here.
Yeah. I think the big one is too is once we figure out who this guy is, if he has any credibility or is he?
I know what he's wearing. I can see the color of that thing that says Neil. I know what's on his back, and I know there's a gold maple leaf at the top. If he would have turned every other maple leaf he's wearing on his body upside down, then at least he would have shown some spunk. But it was too fucking easy to follow this bullshit. All these fuckheads across the country turning the flag upside down because they think their fucking freedoms are being trampled on. I don't know. Maybe you should go look and fucking go what's on in Eastern Europe. Those fucking people are not worried about masks right now. They're worried about getting blown up. Which we're going to come to. I'm just like that. That's what irks me. I get it. He has the right to do everything he's doing because of everybody who's made sacrifices to give him that right under that flag pointed upwards. So the minute he lost all respect for even the remote fucking, which he had next to nothing, is standing up on a fucking at the top of a set of stairs somewhere in Ottawa with an upside down flag, wearing a fucking beret, whatever his regimental beret was. It was from the fucking opposite side, so you couldn't see the cap badge, and his fucking medals, which all have maple leafs on the back of them, as far as I know, pointing up. And he's got two fucking Afghanistan bars with maple leafs in the middle, which point up. And he's doing that. He's a fucking piece of shit. I'll park.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of,
I get what you're saying.
You're just kind of arguing semantics, I guess. Like,
it's rights and freedoms, but I mean, it's like you're shitting on what gave you those rights and freedoms.
One thing that you said, though, Chris, is like you said, like, if you think your rights and freedoms are being trampled on, well, look at Eastern Ukraine. The thing is that you don't just wake up one morning and you're in a shit state like Eastern Ukraine. Your rights and freedoms, just like in Eastern Ukraine, they get slowly eroded over time.
Oh, they've also been at war.
And the thing is that like there's some fucked up shit going on in Canada. And you look at some of these bills that are being passed, and the thing is that if people aren't willing to stand up and be like, hey, Mr. fucking government, I don't work for you, you fucking work for me. Because sometimes these politicians need a little reminder. Because otherwise, if people aren't willing to stand up and say, hey, we need to do something, eventually we'll wake up one morning and we will be in Eastern Ukraine.
You're not wrong.
Just saying.
Let's hope that's not in the near future. That's for sure. There's got to be a way to make people fucking work up and we can speak up a little bit more. That's for.
Yeah, because we don't want to be like the Ukraine.
So let's talk about the Ukraine. We have been on for a couple weeks. A lot of shit's been happening. So the last time when we last spoke, the Russians were coming in through Belarus. They were heading south down single roads with mud on each side. Didn't work out quite the way they planned. So they fucking pulled back, came all the way around to the eastern side, their western front. And they're engaged in a new type of heavy metal warfare, as Morgan has so aptly put it.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing going to be a little more interesting. Yet they're still at 2/3 capability, basically 33%. About a third of their shit is combat ineffective. And we're looking at more of the old school fucking style of warfare. I don't know what that's going to look like. Canada's contribution, hold your breath, 4 M777 howitzers.
Jesus.
So
That's all of our M777 howitzers. We gave away all of our howitzers.
well
We
for
got-
2 RCHA it is.
We got 37 of them, and 4 of them are coming out of 1 RCHA, which conveniently aligns up with the 2025 white paper on equipment reduction. They're going to go down to 10 gun batteries. So for them to give away 4, no big deal.
So
Here's the thing: they need about
including-
about 90 minimum, and the United States is kicking in 90. It is the right gun to give them, but it's like 4. It's like that guy. Let's say I'm building a shed, right? Like I'm building a purpose-built shed, and I'm calling all my buddies, going, "Look, I need whatever materials you got." Canada shows up with 4 nails, and one of them's bent.
It sounds like our submarine program.
So
And-
here's I don't
And
know
it
a lot
gets
about
better. We're going to get into armored shit, Ryan. You'll like this.
I've
Canada-
seen the Ukrainian armored capability.
Well,
It's
let
not
you talk
impressive.
about it. So, for everybody who doesn't know, Ryan's got some time in the Ukraine, so I'm going to let you speak to what you know about. Ryan,
So-
talk to us about your experience over there, what you've seen, what you know. Give us the background.
Originally, my first tour there was Roto 2 with 2VP. I went over as an engineer,
What year was that?
2016.
Okay.
So everything was good in the world. I was supposed to be there to support Canadian infrastructure. That was not the case. Ended up supporting Ukrainian infrastructure and UAF needs and requirements that, as an engineer, I can provide. I had, after 3 tours in Afghanistan, the ANA was, I'm going to say, 75% more effective
Then
than the
Ukrainian-
UAF.
Really?
Definitely, like, at least the ANA would show up to get paid, right?
Yeah.
These guys just don't show up. They had a 55% AWOL rate.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories from from some of my peers that were in Ukraine as well. That especially that were in Afghanistan as well, and they essentially, like, to put it bluntly, they said, "Remember how useless the ANA were?" They're like, "Man, the ANA were super soldiers compared to these retards."
100%. And the Afghan National Army, Kelly, was something that NATO fabricated during the Afghan years.
Throw me in the
Literally,
green room there, Chris.
literally out of nothing. NATO pulled Joe Blow, crooked cop off the street and said, "Now you're a soldier in the ANA. Yeah, you're a cop. You're going to be a sergeant."
Yeah.
That's how
skill level.
Yeah, that's how we recreated the Afghan
All right.
Army.
But Afghanistan fell in less than a fucking week.
Yeah.
And the Russians thought they were going to take the Ukraine in a week. So what's your thoughts on that?
So here's my whole issue, and it goes right back to the original invasion of the ATO, or I don't even know if they call it the ATO anymore.
Which is what you're
The
talking. We got a lot of
Anti-Terrorism Operation Area is what
Okay.
they called it in 2016, and then Roto 3 when I went back for the
So
third.
the
the
ANA is
second-
the Afghan National Army, Kel.
Yeah. And they were still calling it the Anti-Terrorist Operation Area. It wasn't the UAF that did the fighting. It was like mom and pop, literally Joe Civvy, grabbing their AK from when they were in the Soviet army and going and creating a defensive.
You're talking about Ukrainian citizens versus the Ukrainian armed forces.
Ukrainian citizens, in my opinion, were way more effective than anything the government could have produced up until and including when NATO was there training.
So what's your okay? Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that because I was never deployed there, man. I was out.
Yeah.
What is your take on how they're doing in relation to the expectations of the Russian army, thinking that they'd have this? So the Russians were actually they captured Russian kit bags. They had dress uniforms in them, thinking they'd be in there for less than a week, and they're going to have this fucking parade where the Ukrainians embrace the Russians.
No way.
Here we are. here we are 6 weeks in or whatever it is now, and they're holding their own. Is that because of Western influence and equipment, or is it because they got their heads out of our ass? What is your thoughts on that?
It's 100% on Western equipment. The problem is that I seen, even when I went back in 2017, the money that was, even me alone as a construction engineer contracts guy, the money I was pumping into that country was ungodful. Let alone what Canada, the Brits, the US were sending in.
Wow.
Why didn't they prepare? They had the time, the money.
Well, it's not like it's not new. I mean, look, this shit goes back fucking years before February, whatever. The Crimea was annexed in 2014. They had issues before that. This shouldn't have been new to them. And you're saying they're fucking junk, but here we are now.
And I'm telling you, it's not the uniformed members that are doing the paid professional army or their drafty professional army. I'm going to tell you, it's a volunteer citizen who's doing the bulk of the fighting.
Yeah, but I mean, that's got to be coordinated and organized at some level. It's not like a bunch of fucking assholes running around.
The government had, during the initial invasion of the Donbass, the Ukrainian government had no control on who was on the front lines. That's where Azov Battalion came from. That's where Red Sector came from. It all come from that initial what do you call it, the Little Green Men?
Yeah.
It was probably FSB in their kit.
Yeah.
When they did it was citizens that fought. It wasn't a professional army. So when I was there in 2016, 2VP was literally training Azov Battalion on
who's
how
that?
to conduct counterterrorism.
Right, you got to speak civvy, Ryan.
So
that is now the Rogue Battalion, is it not? Or one of the...
It was the main Rogue Battalion. They're very tied to that right-wing political party. I don't know if they're a party or an organization called Red Sector. They have a flag. It's red on top, black on the bottom. Every Canadian Force Protection briefing we were told to stay away from them. So these people ran their own battalion on their own for 2 years.
What you're telling me is, I got to break this down and bridge the gap between military jargon and what the listeners are
going for a long.
Cal, we'll get to your question. Is that basically these fucking rebel civvy groups were forming their own units?
Well, just like the old-fashioned American militia, right? Trained by another army, then you go to civvy life, and all of a sudden, my country's invaded. Time to open the barrack box, pull out that old gun, and that's what it was like.
Okay. Cal, I'll answer your question. This goes on till Putin's dead. Done.
I think somebody else is pulling the strings. We can already see that he at the top is already shaky, and he's got something else neurologically going on.
Yeah. This does not end while Putin spews CO2.
Yeah.
It will not end till he's dead. Because
I think
everybody around him is waiting.
There's more corruption than that, though. There's a lot
more
corruption than one guy.
I think before this ends, I think you're going to see the whole uncensored truth of the Ukraine come out in public.
Well, that'll be interesting because I've never heard this side of a story.
I can tell you, I've 24 years in the military. I've never seen corruption like that in my life. It makes Haiti look honest.
And you did 2 deployments on, that was op what? Reassurance, or what the fuck was it called?
Unifier.
The op Unifier. All right, so there you go. You heard it from a guy who's been over there, 2 tours prior to the war, basically saying that the Ukrainian armed forces is not quite up to fucking par. I'm putting that mildly.
Yeah.
And that it's the civilian population that are really the people that are rising up and fucking taking the fight to the Russians. So what do you think of the Russian army? Because my initial assessment of the Russian army when this shit kicked off. I was brought in as a Dean calls me an expert. I hate the fucking word expert. I don't like that word. But I gave my opinion. I said, look, I thought that they're going to send in a B team, cannon fodder team to fucking do recce by fire.
And usually that's their tactic. I'm like you, Chris. I'm a product of the 90s Cold War training.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that was my expectation, and that they will use shitty guys and shitty equipment to go into the Ukraine.
Yeah.
To figure out what's where, to see the measure of resolve, to basically identify command and control, communication, C3, to soften them up a bit, and then the A team's coming in. Well, the A team never showed up. So is the Russian army fucking shit, or is it?
Well, what I haven't
starting to think that the Russian army's shit. I really am.
I can't say neither there or there. Like, I'm a 90s armored recce guy. Like, I know formations, I know numbers. I haven't, and I'll speak in your language, Chris. A regimental artillery group. Haven't seen one yet.
Yeah, I'm a forward observer. So you as an armored recce guy, you and I have a lot in common.
I haven't seen even anything that looked like I haven't seen MTLBs towing anti-tank guns on a flank or nothing. What are they doing?
I'm not seeing what I was expecting.
No,
and I'm perplexed that maybe they lost a lot of shit in Syria that we didn't see. Oh, he's back. Hang on.
What are you talking about? That's only supposed to be Wagner fighting in Syria. It's not supposed to be the Russian army.
Sorry, Morgan. You've been tracking what we're talking about?
Yeah, kind of.
I'm not seeing out of the Russians, even now that they're in a good position. So now they're in eastern Ukraine, western Russia, and that works in their advantage a few different ways. First of all, it's open ground, so they can actually operate those motor rifle regiments, blah blah blah.
Well, they can go into extended line,
they can use the doctrine that I'm used to learning that they used. So one thing, they have the open ground that fits the way they fight. Number two, they're on their own fucking border, so they can reconstitute and resupply.
Yes.
Right? Like these are huge advantages, yet they're still not gaining ground.
But at the same time, too, how come they've stopped with the overt sabotage? They started it, and that's usually in their recce by force doctrine. They'll leave Spetsnaz or Alpha Group as a layback to do like overt sabotage, and it hasn't been a lot of that, or we're not seeing it. One or the other.
We're not seeing it. I know they booby trapped a lot of shit on their exfil, but I don't think that's their A players that were doing that. Because here's the thing, they didn't expect to fucking fall back.
No, you're 100%. I don't think
so when their kit bags are filled with dress uniforms for a parade instead of an egress solution that creates more damage to come in from a flank, they just were not fucking ready for what happened. So they pulled back and then they said, it's all part of our plan. We're now going to come in from this side and just grab chunks.
I think they're phase 4 of taking Kyiv, and when the citizens actually put up a real good fight and give them a bloody nose, they had to withdraw. But I think the dress uniforms were packed for their liberation of Kiev parade. That's
anyway. This will be an ongoing conversation as things progress on the ground. Stay tuned right here. We'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
Although Putin's one of my bullet points today, I want to get to this before we wrap this fucking shit up, is he's waving his big fucking Russian dick around again, which he's been doing for years. So it's not really
it is rather large. I mean, just saying.
Yeah. But here's the thing:
Justin Trudeau's or Joe Biden's.
If everybody wants to know, if everybody's reading the headlines and you're fucking worried about a nuclear option, here's the thing: if he just used tactical, low-level nukes, He's not going to do any better than he has with what he's already done to Mariupol and places like that.
No.
The artillery in the air that he's already using yields the same NEQ of explosive damage. He's achieving the same actual fucking aim. If he starts firing nukes in the air, he's going to draw in a bigger problem. So I think it's fucking bullshit. And
but hey, Christo, seriously, you know what would win the war? You know how Putin wins?
Rock, paper, scissors.
No,
bro.
Just like they did in Stalingrad
Done.
in 42. Stalingrad 42, snipers, and he'll win.
Well, that's already been a thing. Snipers have been winning that fucking thing. That's
just saying.
bullshit.
I'm just saying who's training them. That's all.
Canadians.
Yeah, they're not training. They didn't know what snipers were before NATO got there.
They didn't. They still don't.
They don't even know how to like stay sober in an observation post. Like,
yeah,
That's like
they might now. I don't know. I'm not there.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think the nuclear option is fucking bullshit because the people in Russia will not allow it to go to that.
Well,
If he
no,
goes small, it doesn't matter what size of nuke. If he goes with a small nuke, he's not achieving anything more destructive than what he's already using conventionally. And if he goes with a big nuke, it's game on. World War III, and we're all done. So go get a fucking 2-4 because it's
yeah. We already played this game in like the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, people just waving their dicks around like no one's dropping a fucking bomb on shit.
No,
it's not happening.
That is not going to fucking happen.
No.
But even if you look at the very basic of warfare, you don't want to completely destroy the piece of ground you're trying to take. You don't want to make it so you take the ground and then everybody's sick and dying. Oh, that's
like wah, wah, wah.
Exactly. Putin's got to know that this was never what he planned. No. B, he's eventually on his way out. He's old for a Russian dude. And C is like, what are you going to burn everything around you? Like, just to die on your fucking bayonet? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, you have to. He's like every other politician, but in Russia, he is the spokesperson for the money.
Yeah.
The oligarchs tell him what to say and what to do.
I didn't even know oligarch was a word until like 90 days ago.
Really?
It's just a fancy word for a rich Eastern European.
Rich Russian cunt. That's the direct translation for all you viewers out there.
Is it?
No.
Direct translation, actually. I looked it up.
Morgan, you're from Newfoundland. You barely speak the Queen's English.
I speak the finest of the Queen's English.
Yes.
I sound like goddamn Shakespeare, for fuck's sake. Listen to a Newfoundlander talk and then read Shakespeare and you're like, it sounds the same.
We got an intern here. Her name is Christy. She's a cruise listener. Sorry about her luck. And she wants to learn how to do podcasts. And she brought me a 15-pack of pills. And I'm like, I feel like she's going to feel like she got ripped off when this shit's done.
No, not yet. Maybe.
Well, you can stick around and listen to a Newfoundlander and a guy from PEI fight it out. No,
you guys can stick around. I got other shit to go do. Okay. Thank you. We could talk about this forever, and I do want to continue this conversation. Fuck, Ryan, you need to come back on.
Anytime, man.
I want to thank everybody for jumping in tonight. I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks. I've been busy as fuck with this new job and other things in life. I'm off to the UK for a few days tomorrow to do I'll call it a veterans anniversary party. And we will be back next Wednesday night. Topic to be determined. Thank you, Mr. Bryce Hooper and Mr. Ryan Perry. You guys are fucking rock stars to be continued. Those guys are good fucking dudes. And the balance of the olive drab hooligans who's in fucking military limbo waiting for his future to be decided. My fucking brother in arms, Mr. Morgan Warren, Canadian badass. We'll see you next week, bro. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that mismatch of fucking bullshit and left wheels and right wheels and failing to stay on target. We got a lot of shit to talk about, short period of time. I know everybody's chomping at the bit if you haven't already done so to jump on and watch Bonzi's pod. So I'll wrap it up for now. Again, I want to thank all my sponsors and thank you guys for tuning in. and I'm trying to find my outro thing. That's why I'm looking over here. I'm trying to be cool at the same time doing it, like I know what the fuck I'm doing. It's been a lot of fun. So we'll see you guys next week. Out.